welcome to another episode of the Just Some Magic podcast. I am your host, Morgan. Here on Just Some Magic, we like to share people's most magical moments inside the theme parks. Today, I have a very special guest. He is I don't even know how to give you a proper intro, but like you're a lover of food, and you'll tell you very specifically what kind of food, and you love going to theme parks. And we just recently ran into each other at Flower and Garden, but today we have James. Hi, James.
Hey, Morgan. Hey, everybody. It is so nice to be here. My mom would call me a cheeky monkey because she's from England, and I guess that would be the best way to describe me.
A cheeky
Is
monk. That's
Yeah,
sorry. I was
exactly.
trying to do an accent. I'm like, oh no, 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 no.
Yeah, so I run a couple Instagram accounts called the first one is Hot Dogs at Disney,
Yes.
and it's where I take photos of hot dogs all around Disney. And I don't necessarily review them so much. I just think it's funny to take photos of hot dogs on rides or at resorts or in front of like iconic statues or something.
Yes.
It's just amusing to me when I go to the parks. And
Yeah.
my other account is Hot Dogs on the People Mover, which is specifically photos of hot dogs on the People Mover. So it's a little bit more of a narrow focus. very,
Yes.
very
I
targeted
know.
audience.
Exactly. And like when you're creating content, everybody says niche down, niche down, niche down.
Yeah.
You literally, I don't think you can get any more niche than hot dogs on the people mover. So you're doing something right.
I know. I don't know how big the space is. It what is it 4 by 6? I don't know what the actual square footage of the People Mover is, but physically it
Right.
is as small of a space as you could put yourself in. So
Yes, yes. And I have to ask, I think I've asked you this before, but like where do you get the hot dogs? How much does this cost? Like how are they kept stored? Do you eat any of them? Like all these questions come to mind, and I bet everybody else is thinking that too.
oh man. Okay, so in terms of the hot dogs, so I always use fresh hot dogs whenever I go to the park. And because that's part of the gag. Like it wouldn't be. People ask me, "Do you use like a rubber hot dog? Why don't you get a fake hot dog?" Well, it's not
Right.
funny unless it's a real hot dog. They gotta there have to be some stakes there.
Right, right. And honestly, that would be so much easier, but you're just dedicated to the craft.
exactly. So yeah, before they're always real hot dogs. I use Oscar Mayer's. Not because I like them so much, but they're just photogenic. Like I've tried using expensive hot dogs and like everything in between, but like the ones that look best on camera are Oscar Mayer's. So I always grab those and a pack of buns. And usually it's the day before I go to the park or the day of. If I go later in the afternoon, I'll buy them. And then I usually assemble like, I always bring like 3 or 4 with me per trip. And yeah,
Take
and
a couple pictures for each, let them do their work, earn their
exactly.
living.
Yeah, the funny thing about behind it is like if you've been handling them for a while, they kind of like the bun gets dry and they kind of fall
Um,
apart and all that. So you kind of need like a good arsenal of hot dogs on you in order to do a day's worth of photography or cheeky monkey
yes,
business or whatever.
yes. Okay, I have a question. Would you say that you're good at food photography? Like other foods? I mean, because you're always doing hot dogs, so d-
I've honestly never tried. Maybe I think the same principles would apply for the most part. I could try it. Maybe that's a whole career that I've never even considered getting into. But
you totally should. And
I
then when
should.
you can become famous, don't forget about the Just Some Magic podcast. But I mean, just even like we just ran into each other again. I think the first time we ran into each other was Food and Wine
Yep,
a year or two ago, maybe last
yep.
year. Yeah, no,
It
2 years
was the
ago. 2 years ago.
first real Food and Wine after post COVID.
COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then we ran into each other a couple weeks or 2 weeks ago at Flower and
yeah.
Garden, again, reviewing food. Did you end up getting that cheesy croissant? That
No,
car-
no. I held out because it was late in the day and I still hadn't eaten yet. And I was like, well, I kind of need a sit down meal. It was hot out that day
Oh,
too.
it was
Like, yeah,
atrociously hot.
I
It was
know.
disgusting. And I was like,
It's
all
terrible.
dolled up and like, taking pictures. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sweating. Like, I'm done being pretty. I just want to shower and be in my pajamas, And I got a
Yeah.
pretty gnarly sunburn
Uh-huh.
on my neck. So I was like, oh no.
That's the
Um,
interesting, the funny thing that people who may not go to the parks a lot, like kind of a tip is like if you've been out in the hot sun all day, sometimes you don't want to eat a bunch of greasy food or like savory stuff or
yes.
whatever. So yeah, that day I just wanted to go indoors. I needed some air conditioning and like to sit down out of the sun and kind of
Mhm.
cool off a bit. So I actually went to Spice Road Table in Morocco, which is one of my
Ooh.
favorite like hidden gems at Disney. They have really really good food. It's super chill. It's right on the water, very relaxed, and
Oh.
always easy to get into. So that's what I ended up doing after I ran into you.
In France, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
please go back and eat that croissant. But like you were saying, we like it was just so hot that like
Uh-huh.
a lot of the foods like towards the front, like in Canada, like all of the new offerings that they had were just hot food. And I was like, I don't want that right now. I'd rather have like a gallon of violet lemonade or something
Uh-huh.
than like a hot soup. It sounds delicious, but it's too dang hot for it right now. So
Oh, it's funny that you
totally
say
get
that because no matter how many times I have it, my absolute favorite festival food is the cheddar cheese soup that they have at Canada during the Food and Wine Festival. But
it.
because they launched the Food and Wine Festival in July, it's like I always wrestle with, am I going to suffer with this steaming hot cup of cheddar cheese soup
Right.
in the Florida sun? How much do I actually crave this thing? And I usually cave in and do it anyway. So
It's like my taste buds will be satisfied, but my body will be mad at me.
right.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, um, getting back on topic, I love our little side conversations for
Hmm.
sure. But James, if you could give us a little bit teaser of the story you're going to share with us later on in the episode, your magical moment.
Yeah, of course. So growing up, I was a big Disney fan. I was all into all the movies and everything, and they meant a ton to me. And we went a lot to the parks when I was a kid. We moved to Florida when I was 8, and which meant that we were able to go to Disney all the time. Um, and that was awesome until I became an adult and had to start paying for it myself. So because of that, just sort of growing older and having life and career stuff come up, I didn't go to Disney very often until a few years ago when something happened that allowed me to, that kind of reignited my spark, reignited my love of Disney and allowed me to embrace it again and really enjoy it as an adult. And so that's just a little tease for my magical moment.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. And so, to get to know you a little bit better, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. But the question I ask everybody first is, why do you love theme parks?
Um, you know what it is because it feels like a completely different world. And I think it's part of the reason why I like movies so much. When I was always very creative as a kid. I would play on the floor with my action figures and make all these worlds, and I would watch movies and get completely enveloped in them. And theme parks are like that, but for real. You know, it's like
Yeah,
I can go.
it's like pretend, but real life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's just I don't know. It's hard to describe the feeling of just getting out of your own skin and your own life for a day and being in this place that is just so different and odd and incredible, and where you can see all these things that you don't see in real life. And it's just such a, especially, being older now. Um, if I've had a day at work that was tough or just a little bit too much real life stuff going on,
Mhm.
my default is to go over to the parks. And it's like some days I'm like, I just need to get to Epcot and I need to take a walk around and just, you know, kind of get out of reality for a little bit. So it's really that for me. It's a mix of, it just being a, completely sort of fantasy world that I can, climb into, as well as just being a great escape, from the everyday stuff. And I think
Mm.
too, being even being in Orlando, I live about 35, 40 minutes from the parks, depending on traffic. And
Depending
um,
on the I-4 probably.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that I-4.
Oh man, yeah. We'll trade stories about I-4 after the show. But
Perfect, perfect.
yeah, but even being in Orlando, like it's still a treat to go to Disney every time because I'm getting out of my neighborhood. I'm getting out of my present, immediate surroundings and going to this place, and it still feels like a vacation, and it still feels like I'm a kid every time I go.
Yes, I tell me if you have this feeling, but like, living in Orlando, just driving through those gates and seeing,
Hmm.
Walt Disney World, you kind of, even though it may be in your hundredth time, you still get a little like, a little giddy, like Disney World, like this is cool. I live so close
Yeah,
to here. I don't know if you can feel the same.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay,
And
good, good. I'm like, okay,
and
good.
I
I'm not the only one.
and it's funny is I get different feelings from different places. Like going into
Oh,
Magic Kingdom is still like I feel like I'm 8 again. That feels
mm,
very like tingly, like you said. Like a kid. Going into the Wilderness Lodge, which is one of my other favorite places, I just feel like
mm,
super relaxed and I feel like
mm.
transported to like, the Pacific Northwest or something like that. So it really depends on, I think I get different feelings, different vibes, and different kinds of excitement from, depending on where I go on property.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. All right. So my next question is pretty tough. So take your time if you need it. But
Is there
my next
math?
question, what? No, there's no math. It's still tough for a Disney fan, let me tell you. My next question is not necessarily your favorite character, but what character do you most identify with that you're the most similar to?
Wow. Um, that is a
Take your
very,
time.
very difficult question. I've never been asked that one before. You always get what's your favorite, but this is a lot more
Right.
interesting.
Oh, that's too boring. No, no, no.
Um, what's funny is my favorite is Donald Duck, but I'm not really
Oh,
Donald Duck. I just like him a lot.
right.
I
You're
would
very
say,
pleasant.
I would say, I'm a. How about this? I'm maybe a blend of Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Like just
Oh,
a get into a
I
little bit of trouble, but like good-hearted, love adventure, that kind of thing. So I would, if you put those three in, I wouldn't say put them in a blender because that would be awful.
oh, this is not that kind of podcast.
But
Oh goodness.
yeah, if you
Put
ever
them
see
all
them on
together.
screen or on DuckTales or anything, there's like a good-hearted sort of mischievousness about them, and I would say that.
That's you. And as your friend, I can totally see that for sure. So, can confirm. Awesome. Okay. So you've been going to the parks for quite a long time, but my
Mhm.
next question is if you can go on any retired Disney ride, whether it was, created or you've been on it before or it was way before our time, what retired Disney ride would you go on and why?
I will give you two. So my all-time favorite when I went to the parks when I was younger was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride
Ooh,
uh,
at Magic Kingdom because
at
they still
Magic
have it.
Kingdom. Yeah. So I
Yes.
know it's still available in California, but I don't get a chance to go out that way very often. I would do anything to have that attraction back. It was just so weird and it was odd and like you ended up in hell at the end and like it was just
Right. It's like we're already in Florida. It's already hot enough.
yeah, and so it was just a strange, crazy, offbeat kind of attraction. I really, really loved that. I would say the one that's actually like extinct,
Uh-huh.
the People Mover in California at Disneyland.
Yes, I
I
was the last
Yeah,
person I had on the show literally said the same thing, and I just said like the its remains and its skeleton is still up there,
uh-huh.
but the ride is completely toast. Thank you, Rocket Rods.
I
Ugh,
know. So there's a glimmer of hope that we'll get it back someday. I just don't know if Disney will bother spending the money on it because I'm sure it's going to be
right.
pretty expensive.
Yeah, especially with all of the overgrowth of,
Uh-huh.
plants coming in and taking over, and who knows how much damage that's caused and
Mhm.
everything. But we can still hope there's still remnants of it. Awesome, awesome. And my next question is, what attraction would you be devastated if it got demolished during your lifetime? Updates and improvements are acceptable, though.
Devastated. Um, the easy one would be the People Mover here at Walt Disney World, but I would say the one that would really crush me is the Haunted Mansion. I know that's far-fetched in terms of them ever doing anything to it, but just like if I had to pick one that would destroy me, it would be losing the Haunted Mansion.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Like, I actually had someone else say Pirates of the Caribbean, and I was like,
Hmm.
I didn't even consider that because, like, just as equivalent of Haunted Mansion, that's
Yeah.
unfathomable. Like, that's going to be there forever. But there's going to be a time, hopefully not in our lifetime, that that's going to get super outdated, and
Uh-huh.
just mechanisms and technology is going to improve so much that, like, that's going to be a lower tiered ride.
Hmm.
So, yeah, oh my goodness. Now, would you camp out in front of it or try to do a last ride if something did happen to Haunted Mansion?
I would try to sleep in the park overnight, and like, yeah, I would, and then sneak into the attraction itself and like try and spend a night in there before it got demolished. That's what I would
Yes,
do.
be like, I need it. Yes.
It's funny that, yeah, but like you said, I don't ever see that happening. The ones that I think are vulnerable are like the Speedway because it's outdated and it's pollution and it takes up so much space.
I'm
Um,
surprised it's still there after Tron.
yeah, so I could see that going. I would, I'd miss it a tiny bit, but I wouldn't be upset about that at all.
So, I used to ask this a lot, but what is your dream ride to get stuck on? And have you gotten stuck on any rides before?
Oh wow. Yeah, I've gotten stuck on a few. It doesn't happen too often. Usually you slow down because someone needs help getting on and off a attraction, so it'll stutter a
Right,
little bit,
right.
or it'll stop for like uh, just a hair. But the only one that comes to mind, and I don't mind getting stuck on it, is the People Mover when you're inside Space Mountain, and then the lights pop on,
Oh,
and you get to see
that's cool.
everything.
That's
Yeah, I've had that happen a few times. That happened recently, actually, for the first time in a few years, and that was really cool.
oh
I've never been evacuated yet. Even after all this time, I don't know if I'm just lucky that way or playing the.
unlucky as well.
Yeah.
Like, as for a normal guest, it's lucky. As a Disney fan, we want to get stuck on the rides and
Uh-huh.
see behind the scenes and everything. So,
It would be something to get stuck on would probably be where I really want to check out the detail of the ride. So maybe a Spaceship Earth, like Spaceship Earth when you're in the Renaissance and they're
mhm,
doing the Michelangelo scene and all that to really get a good look at the detail. I think something like that would be cool.
definitely. Honestly, like, that's my evac ride. The
Hmm.
classic one is Haunted Mansion,
Hmm.
but I think that one would be so cool, like being able to go down however long it is and
Yeah,
see everything with the lights on and see all the effects, because, like, looking at the Epcot ball, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is larger than life. And when you're in it, you're like, how is there a ride in here? Like, I just gotta see it with the lights on. I don't understand it. Like, I need to see a floor plan of everything.
that's a really good point because in terms of the one that would be the most interesting to get evacuated off, that would be it because you're going down, whatever gigantic spiral staircase all the way to the bottom. Yeah.
Right, right. And I even just like the tippy top, like, I
Uh-huh.
know it's probably nothing pretty, but I want to just see it with the lights on and not like the cool galaxy and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what's in there? What's holding it up? Where are we going? Like, I need to know.
Yeah, we would have to research this, and someone might be able to correct us or give us the info. But it used to be there was a space station up there at some point. Like you could, I think they blacked it out or they painted over it or removed it, but you used to be able to see like a starbase or and like a satellite and all that kind of stuff. They were actual like props, and I think
Oh,
they
that
got
makes
removed.
sense.
Yeah.
Hmm. Gotta do some. deep diving for sure. Okay. I have a question I've never asked before, but because you love People Mover so much and you keep bringing it up, which, mind you, I do love the People Mover as well. If you could change the People Mover in any way, make it longer, add a scene, go through something else, what would you do to it?
That is interesting. Um, I heard this on a podcast one time, so I can't take credit for it. But I heard someone brought up the idea of having a set time on the People Mover that you could have lunch. So they would give you like a box lunch that would have like maybe a sandwich in it, some chips, a drink, and you
Yes.
you got to go around a couple times and just have your lunch or dinner or whatever it would be. And I always thought that was a really brilliant idea. So if I could have anything, it would
Honestly,
be, yeah,
I would rather do that over like a dessert package or
yeah,
feeding off of that idea if it was a People Mover dinner during fireworks time. No, you're
uh-huh,
not going to get great views the entire time, but that could they could make some money. I'd pay a decent amount to do that. That'd be quite fun.
yeah. You could fit a little table in there in the middle and, put a
Yes, maybe
tablecloth. I wouldn't put candles on it necessarily, but you could.
right. Right. Maybe slow it down on the whips because there's times where you're like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, yeah. I've had hot dogs go flying before, so.
Oh no, not the hot dogs. Okay, and another thing is what is so if hot dogs were off the table, I'm not gonna ask what your favorite Disney snack is, but what other say it had to be a Disney snack, what Disney snack would you make it an Instagram account over?
Wow, I'm trying to think of what is Instagram worthy at Disney that I like that much. Um,
Right, right. Because you there's a lot of components. Like even me just thinking like, oh, you could do a Mickey ice cream bar, but like that melts and
yeah,
this and popcorn isn't Mickey shaped or it's tough. It's tough.
I
It's
don't know
very
if anybody does the turkey leg, but I think that is a Instagram account waiting to happen. Like just taking a turkey, like
Oh
you
my
know,
goodness.
yeah, like
Bring
hoofing
the whole thing.
yeah, turkey leg around with you and taking photos of it. So if anyone's listening and they want to jump on that idea, go for it.
Yes, and then
Yeah,
you and Hot Dogs at Disney or the turkey leg account and Hot Dogs at Disney can collab, do a whole thing.
yeah,
You can even have some beef or like drama, but like beef.
yeah.
In
Like imagine
listen,
some,
whoever does
yeah.
tag James in it.
Imagine a turkey leg on the teacups. I mean, that's just funny.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. All right, and let me find one good one. Oh, okay. So, when you go to the parks and you had, and this could be universal as well. I know your Instagram is Hot Dogs at Disney, but if you could go to the parks for one day, someone was paying for it, um, what park would you go to, and what would your typical day look like at the parks?
That's interesting. I spend most of my time at Magic Kingdom and Epcot. I don't give as much love as I should to Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom. One thing I would love to do, because I do love Animal Kingdom a lot, I would love to have a VIP tour of Animal Kingdom. Like someone who could
Oh,
take you around, show you everything. There's a lot of food there that, as much as I love hot dogs, I'm a big fan of Disney food in general and like trying all the restaurants and trying different flavors and all that kind of stuff. I think like a VIP tour of Animal Kingdom would be awesome, and do everything. Do the safari, do the walking tour that you can do through the safari area. Like I think
yes.
that would be a great day, and being able to do Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey and Dinosaur, which is one of my favorites, and seeing all the shows and being able to cram everything in because it is a really pretty park. And if you I feel like there's so much there I still haven't seen. So that would be right now doing what I do. That would be the kind of my perfect day of a park. If I'm going emotionally, I'm going to Magic Kingdom and going straight to Peter Pan, and then doing Haunted Mansion, Big Thunder, Pirates, and then ending on the People Mover, and then having dinner at Cinderella.
So, James, thank you so much for answering all those questions. I feel like we got to know you a little bit more and that you're Huey, Dewey, and Louie all mixed in together. But now I'll let you take it away and share your most magical moment.
Oh, great. Thank you. Well, that was fun, Morgan. Thanks. Yeah, so my magical moment, it's really, I guess, the reason why we're talking today. I wouldn't have had this Instagram account, or I wouldn't even, gotten back into Disney as much as I did without this magical moment. So, like I introduced, when I introduced myself, um, I mentioned that I grew up, as a Disney kid and loving the movies and just being like wrapped up in that world. And I read all the storybooks and all that. And then we moved to Florida when I was a little kid, about 7, and which meant that on our family vacations we would go to Disney, and so we went all the time. I mean, it might not be as much as I remember, but it felt like all the time. And yeah, just fell in love with the parks. Like however much I loved the movies and all that, it was really the theme parks that were the thing that drew me in and made me like a fan. And so eventually I moved down to Orlando to go to college. And that was great because I was close to the parks, but it was bad because I was in college and didn't have a whole lot of extra money to throw around. And so that
Right.
was
Eating
that.
off ramen, can't really afford to go to Disney fine dining or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. The best I could do is I would go to Disney Springs, which back then was downtown Disney, if you remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do because I don't know if you know this about me. I did the Disney College program and I worked at World of Disney back when it was downtown Disney. So sometimes I
Uh-huh.
trip up and I say downtown Disney and I'm like, "Oh wait, it's Disney Springs now.
I
It's so
still I still
fancy."
call it downtown Disney, yeah.
It
So
just
I
sounds so
would
much cooler that way, honestly. Like Springs
I
is
know.
nice, but
Yeah, I
that's
agree with the name change. Downtown gave it I mean it wasn't edgy, but it was something. So,
right, right. Back
yeah,
when like
felt
Pleasure Island was back and that kind of thing. I wasn't around for that, but I don't think I was old enough. But it was just it used to be a cool place from the history videos that I've watched on it.
yeah, yeah. And, so I would go there all the time. At least once a month, I would make the trek over there and just spend the evening there, get some food, and walk around and look through the stores and all that. So I held on to a little bit of Disney during my lean years. And then it was funny as I graduated from college and started a real grown up job and career and all that nonsense. But as soon as I got to the point where I could, afford to go to Disney, I ran out of time because, you're working 40, 50 hours a week or whatever. It's just hard to find the time to squeeze it all in. So I wasn't really conscious of it at the time, but I really sort of um, lost my focus in terms of Disney being like a priority in my life or, something that was part of it all the time.
It sounds
Um,
like, you went from like a kid who would go all the time and then college, you didn't have as much time but no money. And then when you finally had money, you had absolutely no time. So it was like a slow fade out of it. It happens to all of us at some point, I believe. So
yeah,
absolutely. And it's
it's
it's kind of sad. It's a sad
it's
time
exactly
for a
that.
Disney fan.
I know. It's like the giving tree or the different stages of life or something like that. But yeah,
Yes.
it's how ironic to be this close to the parks after that being my dream as a kid, and then just not having the resources, whether it's time or money or whatever, uh,
Yeah.
to do it as much as I wanted. Anyway, so fast forward to a couple years ago, it was my birthday, and my girlfriend said, "Hey, we have a surprise tonight. Get in the car." And so I got in the car, and she drove us over to Disney, and we went got on property. I'm like, oh, well, maybe we're going out to eat because we did that every once in a while. We'd go to, go to a restaurant over there or something.
Yeah.
And then she drove through the gate of Epcot. I thought, okay, what's going on here then? And I was like, well, I guess we're going to Epcot, but it was late. It was like 6 or 7, and we pull into the parking lot, and then we walk up to the ticket booth, and she says, "I'm here to pick up annual passes," and so complete surprise. This was not discussed. It was never even like a glimmer in my eye of
Something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It'd
Oh
be
my
like
goodness.
if
And
I
what
said,
did
hey,
you
yeah. Be like if I said, "Hey
oh,
Morgan, pack your bags. We're going to Utah," or something like that. It's
I'd
like
be like,
just
huh?
yeah. It was Ha, but in like the most wonderful way you could imagine.
Oh
So
my goodness. And what were you thinking like the whole way up? Like, okay, we're on Disney property. We're just
mhm.
gonna go get up some dinner. Like, what was going through your mind, or what was it truly not till she said we're picking up annual passes?
Yeah, annual passes were the furthest thing from my mind. It'd be like if you took me to the airport, I'd be like, "Oh, are we going to the Chili's at the airport or something?" It wasn't like I was going on a flight. So it was. I just thought we were going to pick up tickets and go in because I remember that you used to be able to get the Disney after 4 or after 6 pass. I don't.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you could go get dinner there, and I was like, "Oh, maybe they still have that." And no, we got annual passes, and I was just confused. Like I was so overwhelmed, and but like still processing it. I'm like, what does this mean? And we
Yeah.
just walked into the park, and then we walked to Monsieur Paul over in the France Pavilion and had dinner. And the whole time, like
Oh,
I was happy to be there, having good food and all that, and to be in France. But the whole time, I'm still like, what is going on? Like what does this mean for the next year of my life or whatever? And
right.
it was just like, hey, you can do whatever. Okay, we've had dinner. What do you want to do? And I was like, we didn't really have time to do a whole lot. And I'm like, you know what? In the back of my head, I've always just wanted to go see the American Adventure and then like bounce out. So we just went to the American Adventure and like sat for 40 minutes or however long it is, and then got out of it and then just went home. And it felt really weird because normally when I go to the parks, I'm like trying to fit everything in and
Yes.
cram it all in and all that. I'm like, this is so surreal. And but no, it
Also,
was like,
don't sleep on American Adventure. Like, also don't sleep in American Adventure. But like, I honestly love American Adventure,
it's great.
so I think it's so underrated. Like, it's a nice show. Get to sit in AC for a long time.
Uh-huh.
It's so cool how everything moves. So going back to that, sorry, I was like, I have to say something because I like American Adventure too.
Yeah, yeah, and it feels like you've done something, like you've seen a show or whatever. And
Yes.
anyway, so that was amazing. Like that was incredible. I still didn't know really what to, I'm still trying to process, this power that I had now. And it's funny, we went a few more times to a few of the parks, and then I was like, I should document this, somehow.
Oh,
I'm able to go all the time. We can just pop in whenever we want, like go on a ride, get food, and go home. And I should like, I've got this pass for a year. Maybe I'll do like a year in the life of an annual pass. And I
ooh.
was like, oh, I'll take photos or something. And then for whatever reason, I was like, well, I should create an account of some kind just for my friends and family so they can see all, what I'm getting up to or, make them jealous or, or whatever.
The mischievous side of you, like Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah. And
There you
then
go.
I honestly, like, it just popped in my head. I was like, if I was that 7, 8-year-old kid again and I had a golden ticket to Disney, which is what you get with an annual pass, what would have been my dream? Like, what would have been like my ultimate thing I could do? And I was like, I would have wanted a hot dog on the People Mover. I would have wanted to ride the People Mover eating a hot dog. And I was like, that would be it. That would be my ultimate fantasy as a kid. And I'm like, that's it. I'll just start taking photos on the People Mover with a hot dog. And that's where my accounts were born, is just that random idea. And so I did it a few times. Like I took a few photos of hot dogs on the People Mover, made an account, posted them, and like, like 5, 10 people followed me. Friends, close friends and family, some coworkers or whatever, and that was it. And then, I did that for maybe a couple months until I was like, this is great, but maybe I can start taking photos of hot dogs on other rides or just around the park itself. So that led me to launch Hot Dogs at Disney, which is my main account now, and
Mm.
it had the same sort of trickle where just a few people followed it, and then all of a sudden after a couple months, I got to 100 followers, and I'm like, wow, 100 people out there are following this, and then it just started to pick up and pick up and pick up the more I posted, and
And a
led
hundred
to
people, like, on social media, it doesn't seem that large, but if you had 100 people in a room with you,
yeah
that's a lot. So any number, I think, is crazy to is exciting. Like I
yeah.
feel the same with my account too. I'm like, holy crap, this many people want to see what I'm doing, like
hmm
little old me. So I feel you.
Yeah, and I was just cool. I was like, I would have kept doing it anyway, just because it made me happy. Like I just thought it was funny. I'm like, just like, hey, I made my brother laugh because I'm having a hot dog on Peter Pan or something like that.
Yes.
And so I would have, done it just out of the joy of doing it. But then I started to get a little bit of feedback, and I'm like, this this is blowing my mind that there are people out there that share my sense of humor and that think this is kind of funny. And so I started, kind of researching more about like Instagram influencers and all that kind of stuff. I didn't follow a single influencer before I started this account. I don't even think I followed like Disney on Instagram. Uh,
Right, right.
yeah.
I had a similar thing. Like I was just posting a separate account because honestly what it reverted back to is I was getting made fun of why are you only posting Disney? So I just made a separate account of just
hmm
Disney, and that's when it took off. People find interest in very things, and especially extremely niche things like hot dogs at Disney.
And I had
It's
no
wonderful.
idea at all. And so that's part of the magic of the getting the annual pass. My magic moment was not only did it allow me to reconnect with being a kid and all the stuff that meant so much to me when I was little, it gave me the opportunity to pop in and just do a ride or two and then go home and not be stressed
Mhm.
out that I'm not maximizing, every
Right. Getting your
second of
money's worth,
the day.
honestly.
Yeah. What it did was it opened up this whole other world of like making friends, connecting with people, getting to know people, and so I think that's the magic is that it put me in touch with a community that I never knew existed, and people have been so nice. Like I met you, I've met
Yes.
other influencers, podcasters, YouTubers, and all that kind of stuff, and I mean everyone is just so delightful and I don't know what it is about the Disney community. I mean, it's just, based on good feelings and good vibes. But everyone is so pleasant and so supportive and nice, and they're funny and all that. So, it's crazy that, a birthday present, this really incredible gesture of kindness that
Yes.
I received turned into this whole other life for me. Like, I have these accounts that I run. I've met great people and made new friends and all that. So it really did like, no baloney. It really did change my life getting that annual pass. Like it, opened up this entire thing that brings me so much joy that I never would have experienced otherwise.
Oh, that is wonderful. And can I ask before how long at that time she bought you the annual pass, because I know it's been some time since, how long were y'all together beforehand, because that's a pretty pricey gift to give somebody even at the lowest tier, and I know you guys were dating, so I'm curious to know how long you guys were together.
I think 6, 7 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. 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 I was like, if you guys were only together a year, I'd been like, whoa, that is extremely generous. Like, I don't even think I'd buy my significant other a pass. Like, you know, I'd hook them up with like my annual pass discounts, but not a pass pass. So
Yeah, and it's great
that's
too
awesome.
because it became our special thing too. You know, where it's like, hey,
Oh,
do you just want to go? You know, oh, did you have a bad day today? Yeah, okay. Let's what we're doing. We're going to go to the Disney Boardwalk and just take a stroll around, and maybe we'll, you
no.
know, get some takeout or some quick serve or something like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's really nice. It's you know, for all the wonderful things about Disney, whether it's entertainment or um, you know, fireworks or whatever. It really is about the memories that you make there with people, and I think that's
Absolutely.
you know, to have that reignited again, because I have my childhood memories and then there's a gap, and now I've got these new memories, and they're all
Yeah.
based around yeah, the mouse.
I love that. That is such a great story. Your girlfriend did great, and who knew she would help you ignite this whole like journey and new memories of experiences at the parks, experiences together, a fun, silly Instagram. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say silly. I'm sorry,
Oh,
but
it's
like
plenty silly.
funny, silly. Okay, okay. I was like, I don't want you to take it as an insult because it's very funny. I love it.
And it's photos of
Um,
hot dogs.
like it's great. It's
Yep.
great. Um, and I think that's so wonderful that she did that, and not only like get you even just even at the same gift, but or a similar gift in like well, one day pass and got a reservation for the nice restaurant that you guys went to. Like even that would have been awesome, but the fact an annual pass, like that's
Mhm.
awesome, awesome gift. So and that's so good. I don't even know what else to say, but and I'm so glad we've met since then and connected and keep running into each other at the first day of
Yeah.
festivals, which seems to be a pretty great day. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Any last closing thoughts before we close out? And also, where can people follow all of your adventures with hot dogs and not hot dogs and Disney and theme parks? So yeah, if you want to share that now, that'd be great.
Yeah, you know, something people, you know, you get asked for advice. I'm sure that happens to you all the time. People are like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, what do I have to
Mm-hmm.
do? What should I do at this park? You know, where should I eat and all that?" The biggest piece of advice I give people is just do your own thing. There's this hashtag I use on all my photos called, it says "Make Disney Your Own," and I think that
Oh,
is really good advice because
yes.
um, you know, don't try to do what everyone tells you to do. Don't feel bad if you can't fit every ride in. Like, just go and enjoy the experience and kind of make it, turn it into your own thing. Like, it's your playground. Like, I turned it into a platform for, you know, goofing off and, you know, embracing the silly side of myself. And that's what it means to me now. But yeah, just go and make it your own thing. So that I always try to tell people that. And in terms of my accounts, you can find me on Instagram at Hot Dogs at Disney, and then you can also find me at Hot Dogs on the People Mover, both on
Yes.
Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. Well, James, thank you so much for coming on the show. It truly means the world to me. And I know we've been talking about this for a while, and I'm so glad we got you on. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Morgan. I had an awesome time, and hope to see you again soon.